And so I want to talk about Amar'e Stoudemire because a few weeks ago he was all on the news trying to tell people that Kyrie Irving was wrong and that Kyrie Irving needed to apologize. Was it because he converted to Judaism? I can't tell because it appears that he doesn't even know who he is. He converted. He converted. Imagine that. We just coming into finding out that we are Hebrew Israelites. We are Hebrew. And before we can find out right good, he goes and converts. Soon as he convert, the news come out that we Hebrew. What do you know? Was his conversion unnecessary, or do we all have to be converted back to Hebrewism? Or is Hebrewism a word? But I want to talk about this. Too cold. I want to talk about Amar'e Stoudemire because, like I said, just a few weeks ago, he was saying how Kyrie Irving needs to apologize. But Kyrie Irving had a backing. We stood behind Kyrie Irving. I keep thinking of that scripture, touch not my anointed, even though I know that that scripture was specifically for talking about David. But there's an article that I wanted to go across. According to TMZ, Amar'e Stoudemire cites lack of black leadership for the rise in anti-Semitic rhetoric. He said lack of black leadership is the reason for the rise in the anti-Semitic rhetoric. Now, this is a black man that converted. I can tell he didn't know who he was when he converted. Otherwise, he wouldn't be saying stupid shit like this. It says pro basketball star Amar'e Stoudemire is both black and Jewish. And says he's uniquely positioned to help bridge the gap between the two groups. What two groups? Boy. Anyway, Stoudemire has been living and playing basketball in Israel since 2016, but he's been paying attention to the recent wave of anti-Semitic comments from high-profile people like Deshaun Jackson, Steven Jackson, and Nick Cannon, which all three of these men backtracked and apologized for saying what they said, which they said that black people were Hebrew, but they ended up apologizing. All three of the above-mentioned stars have apologized, this article says, but Amar'e says moving forward, there should be a focus on educating young people about the similarities between black people and Jews. See, y'all see what's going on? They're using our own black people to stand up for them and not stand up for their own people. There's more similarities with African Americans and Jewish people than there are differences. I beg to differ. What similarities? I went over a few of them, the Holocaust and the transatlantic slave trade. Totally different. The transatlantic slave trade lasted over 400 years. The Holocaust lasted between 4 and 5 years. No similarities whatsoever. He said there's a post-traumatic stress between both from these events. Think about all the persecution. It's always the Jews or the blacks, Stoudemire says. What Jews?
Well, if that's the case,
Jews haven't been persecuted since the Holocaust.
If that's the case, then why don't you give blacks the same thing that you giving the
same praise that right. You in recognition that you're giving the Jew? People. Yes.
If it's the same.
A Jewish person has not been persecuted since the Holocaust. But we have people dying, our black men and women dying in the streets at the hands of police officers and such almost every day. Oh, that don't count. Stoudemire suggests lack of leadership in the black community has led to many black people turning to Louis Farrakhan for leadership, which is problematic because his long history of anti-Semitic comments. Wow, did you hear that?
But every black leader that we get, they kill him.
I cannot believe he going up against Louis Farrakhan like that. Amongst the African-American community, there's not a lot of leadership, Amar'e says. So they gravitate to a leadership factor that help keep people off the streets, right? So Farrakhan is seen as one of their leaders in their African-American community. But I do think I know, with me being in the position where I am, wait a minute, dude, you can't even talk. But I do think I know, with me being in the position where I am, where being an African-American Jew who's learning at a high level, I think there's a narrative shift that's happening. Wow. We have to figure out a way to now teach the next generation on positivity. No, you need to reteach yourself, bruh. Because they got you. They got him. There's more, Amar'e explains, why he's down to have conversations with both Deshaun Jackson and Steven Jackson, and I hope that neither one of them talks to him. Another article says he calls for Kyrie Irving to apologize. This was in November of 2022. The first article was in July of 2022, but it says former NBA star Amar'e Stoudemire, who converted to Judaism in 2020, he just converted 2 years ago, and he think he know it all.
He the coronavirus.
He think he converted. He converted 2 years ago, and he know everything there is about the Jewish community. He wants Irving to own up to his actions and apologize for tweeting out a link to a movie filled with anti-Semitic rhetoric, says the Brooklyn Nets guard. And I can tell that he has not seen the film. He's repeating what his white counterparts are saying, what the white media is saying. Look at that anti-Semitic rhetoric. Black people don't talk like that. So Stoudemire addressed the controversy surrounding Irving's on ESPN Get Up Wednesday morning, saying, "You have to give an apology because if you're going to promote a documentary that has false allegations inside of it, and you may not understand that these allegations that's inside of the documentary are false, okay, you made a mistake, right? So apologize for it." So now this article, now here in December, almost January, we know that Hebrews to Negroes is not filled with anti-Semitic rhetoric. If Hebrews to Negroes is full of anti-Semitic rhetoric, then they're going to have to remove not only Hebrews to Negroes from off of Amazon, but they're going to have to remove a lot of Jewish writings off of Amazon. Because guess what? Hebrews to Negroes got a lot of its references from Jewish literature. How about that? But ain't nobody talking about that. So now fast forward, this man of God, this man that converted in 2022, now he just got arrested for beating up his daughter, punching his daughter in the face, and all kinds of stuff. Now, I don't condone children to be disrespectful to their parents at all. No, I do not condone that. I just do not condone that. But this dude, they said he punched his daughter in the face with a balled up fist. He denies it, assaulting his daughter, but according to this article, he is breaking his silence on the arrest, saying that he did not assault his daughter. As the investigation unfolds, the facts will show the allegations to be groundless, as my daughter's medical condition is not the result of being assaulted by a father who's nearly 7 feet tall and weighs 250 pounds, he said in part of a statement on his Instagram page. "I could never see myself assaulting any person, especially my children. I respect, protect, and love my family, particularly my children." Amar'e Stoudemire was arrested over the weekend for domestic violence. This after he allegedly beat his teenage daughter. He's saying it's not true. The ex-NBA star was booked early Sunday morning in Miami on one count of misdemeanor battery and one count of domestic violence. He posed for his mug shot on the way in, but as of late Sunday morning, it appears to have been released. He have been released from custody. According to the arrest report obtained by TMZ, Stoudemire is alleged to have struck one of his teen daughters, one is 17 and another is 14, across the face at least twice, once with a closed fist, which was described by the girl as a punch, and another being a slap. The report states that his daughter was left bloodied from the hits and goes on to say the alleged victim described him as continuing to strike her body after the blows to her face. The reason he allegedly snapped, per cops, Amar'e described disciplining her after she responded with attitude to her grandma, Amar'e's mother, when she called for her at his house, which caused Amar'e to confront his kid and allegedly dole out a whooping. That ain't no whooping, that's a beating. When you ball up your fist, that's a beating. The daughter is reported to have contacted her mother, Alexis, with photos of her alleged injuries, which spurred the 911 call and subsequent arrest. Sounds like Alexis came to pick up the rest of their 3 kids and left with them all as well when the police took Amar'e away. Now, who should be apologizing? Man, you should be apologizing to your daughter. You should be apologizing to your daughter. You only been converted to Judaism for 2 years, and now you think you know the whole Jewish community. Listen, go back and read Deuteronomy 28, sir, and learn your history before you try to tell somebody else who to accept. You try to tell black people that we have to accept Jewish. No, we don't. No, we don't. And I'm done. I'm done with you, sir.